Every financial decision you make comes from a mental model, and the wealthiest people in the world are operating from an entirely different psychological framework. It's not just about money, it's about how they manage energy, time, and uncertainty. Imagine running your life like a system that builds wealth automatically instead of chasing goals that burn you out. In this video, we'll break down 5 mental shifts that separate millionaires from the middle class. And the last one, about how the wealthy treat time as their most valuable currency, might completely change how you see success. Welcome to the Money Compendium, where we uncover the psychology, history, and hidden habits behind real wealth. If you've ever wondered what separates those who struggle to stay ahead from those who seem to build wealth effortlessly, you're about to find out. Number 1. Think in systems, not goals. Most people chase goals, earn 6 figures, buy a house, retire early, but millionaires think in systems. A goal gives you a finish line, but a system gives you momentum. It's the difference between sprinting to a single payday and building a machine that produces paydays for decades. When you live by systems, every repetition reinforces identity. You stop trying to succeed and start operating as someone who does. Psychologically, this rewires the brain's reward loop. Instead of waiting for a big win to feel accomplished, you feel successful every time the system runs. That emotional structure keeps you consistent long after motivation fades. Instead of setting a goal like save $10,000, you build a system that routes 20% of income automatically into investments. Instead of lose 20 pounds, you design a lifestyle that makes exercise and nutrition default. Systems create stability because they're identity-based. You don't act successful, you become the kind of person whose habits produce success. The middle class often lives in cycles of chasing and collapsing. Goal, effort, burnout, reset. The wealthy live inside self-reinforcing loops that compound over time. A system gives them freedom because it handles success on autopilot. When you think in systems, you stop fighting for results and start designing inevitability. That's how millionaires stay consistent without relying on bursts of motivation. And once your systems are solid, the next shift is about how you handle something most people fear: risk itself. Number 2. Redefine risk as learning, not losing. For most people, risk feels like danger, a threat to comfort, safety, or reputation. But millionaires see risk as tuition, the necessary cost of learning what others never discover. Psychologically, the brain's loss aversion bias exaggerates danger, making potential failure feel catastrophic. Wealthy thinkers flip this bias. They understand that avoiding risk doesn't protect you, it guarantees stagnation. Every new level of growth requires stepping into uncertainty, and learning faster than fear can paralyze you. Millionaires rarely make perfect decisions, but they make decisions that teach them. Every failed launch, deal, or idea adds data to their mental model. Neuroscience backs this up. Learning through error strengthens neural pathways for decision-making. That's why successful people seem lucky. They've simply built more feedback loops. Instead of emotional defeat, failure becomes analysis fuel. Each loss becomes another step toward refinement. The middle class often defends their comfort zone because they've been conditioned to equate risk with loss of stability. The wealthy defend their ability to adapt because they know adaptability is the real safety net. It's not about gambling, it's about becoming anti-fragile. The takeaway is simple: don't chase risk, but stop avoiding it. Treat every risk like a class you're paying to attend. The moment you stop seeing mistakes as evidence of failure and start seeing them as proof of learning, you'll develop the same resilience that lets millionaires rebuild from nothing. And that leads directly to the next mindset: how to handle what most people avoid entirely: uncertainty. Number 3, make uncertainty your default setting. The human brain evolved to crave predictability. We like knowing what's coming next because it feels safe. But modern wealth is built in chaotic environments: shifting markets, new technology, unstable economies. Millionaires thrive here not because they're immune to fear, but because they've trained their nervous systems to function inside the unknown. They've learned to expect change instead of being disrupted by it. Biologically, uncertainty triggers the amygdala, the brain's fear center. Average thinkers read that as danger, but wealthy thinkers interpret it as pay attention. That small mental reframe keeps them alert instead of paralyzed. They know stress isn't always a warning. Sometimes it's raw energy waiting to be directed. Instead of trying to eliminate anxiety, they channel it toward analysis, preparation, and strategy. That's how they stay calm when others panic. You can train this too. Try small, uncertainty reps. Speak up in meetings, try a side hustle, or invest in learning a new skill before you feel ready. Each exposure builds your tolerance for unpredictability. Over time, uncertainty stops feeling like chaos and starts feeling like possibility. The wealthy don't need certainty to act. They act to create certainty. Once you can operate confidently without guarantees, you'll see what separates reactive workers from strategic builders. And once you've learned to navigate uncertainty, the next key is mastering stress itself, not by escaping it, but by transforming it into performance fuel. Number 4, use stress as motivation. Most people believe success means eliminating stress, but the truth is, millionaires know how to use it. They treat stress like a form of energy, something to harness, not something to run from. This mental reframe flips stress from a threat response into a performance trigger. The body's adrenaline and cortisol surge can sharpen attention, speed reaction time, and fuel productivity, but only if you learn to regulate it. Millionaires build what psychologists call stress resilience, the ability to stay calm while performing under high stakes. Instead of letting energy spiral into worry or procrastination, they direct it into movement, focus, or problem solving. That's why you'll often find high performers staying composed in moments that would break most people. They've trained their bodies to interpret tension as readiness. The key isn't to avoid stress, it's to recover from it efficiently. Like elite athletes, they oscillate between periods of intensity and intentional rest, allowing the nervous system to reset rather than collapse. You can train this same balance. Build micro recovery into your day. Short walks, deep breathing, meditation, or moments of silence between meetings. These are not luxuries, they are maintenance. Stress without recovery becomes burnout, but stress with rhythm becomes growth. The wealthy understand this pattern and ride it like a wave instead of being drowned by it. Over time, your body learns that challenge doesn't mean danger, it means opportunity. When you can transmute stress into action instead of anxiety, you've mastered one of the rarest millionaire skills. And that mindset naturally leads to the next level, understanding that the real currency of wealth isn't money at all, but time itself. Number 5, value time more than money. The biggest psychological leap between middle class and millionaire thinking is how each perceives time. Most people trade their hours for dollars, but millionaires trade dollars to reclaim hours. They know that time, not money, is the true measure of wealth. Money can be earned, lost, or multiplied. Time only moves in one direction. Once it's spent, it's gone forever. This awareness drives a completely different approach to decision-making. Every commitment, meeting, or project must either create leverage or clarity. If it doesn't, it's a drain, not an investment. Millionaires buy back time through delegation, automation, and focus. They use tools, teams, and systems to remove friction from their lives so they can spend more time thinking instead of reacting. That reclaimed mental space is where creativity, strategy, and insight live. The very ingredients that multiply wealth. Studies in behavioral economics show that when people feel time poor, their problem-solving ability drops significantly. By removing low-value tasks, wealthy thinkers free their cognitive bandwidth to see opportunities others miss. But valuing time isn't just tactical, it's emotional. When you protect your time, you protect your peace. You stop chasing every shiny opportunity and start curating a life built around intention. You say no more often, not because you're arrogant, but because you finally understand that every yes costs something irreplaceable. The ultimate goal of wealth isn't to collect things, it's to create space. Space to think, to rest, to build, to live without the constant noise of urgency. The middle class uses time to make money. The wealthy use money to make time. And once you start measuring your choices in hours instead of dollars, you'll realize wealth was never about accumulation. It was about freedom all along. Wealth isn't built from hacks or hustle. It's built from mindset. Each of these 5 shifts rewires how you approach decisions, resilience, and value itself. When you stop chasing results and start designing systems, when you treat risk as tuition and stress as training, you stop playing defense with your money and start playing offense with your life. The truth is, financial freedom doesn't start in your bank account, it starts in your beliefs. And if you found these mental frameworks helpful, wait until you see what's next. We're diving into how to manage ADHD in a job interview and how understanding your mind's natural wiring can turn what feels like a disadvantage into a competitive edge. Because when you learn to work with your brain instead of against it, both your confidence and your earning power begin to rise. Before you go, let me know in the comments. Which of these 5 millionaire mindsets are you going to start applying first?